All right, you may have seen on our social media ahead of Groundhog Day, we conducted a little social experiment, and our colleagues Sophie Lui and Gailus, co-anchors of Global News at 6, they're joining us in studio to discuss the results.
Yes, and good morning to both of you.
Thanks for waking up early.
Very early. I haven't finished the coffee yet. This is bad, but yes, happy to be here.
Yeah, so we shared the results on social media. We got a lot of response, but we figured we should give people the backstory of how this all came about. So, Sophie, you and I were just having a conversation about wardrobe.
Yeah, so we have in the back of the station, we have a dressing area, like dressing rooms for all of the on-air people, and we're renovating them, cleaning them up. And so Sonia and I were just discussing our clothes, and
how we have so many.
How we have a lot of clothes, and part of the thing is we're on air a lot, and so we feel like we have to mix it up, or sometimes we get emails.
Yeah, and
so you hashed this plan.
I think the comment was just, well, why don't we just wear the same thing every day? And then it was
right.
Like,
and there was
why
the guy in Australia, right? The news anchor in Australia.
That's right. Yeah, he wore the same suit and jacket ensemble for a month.
I think a year.
Oh, was it a year? It might have been, yeah.
But
for a long time, knowing that his co-anchor got all kinds of comments about it whenever she doubled up or wore the same thing. So he felt, okay, well, let's just see what happens if I do it. And that same sort of thing kind of played out for us.
The two of you asked us to do something similar. One week, Chris and I would wear the same suit, tie, shirt, everything for a week straight. And then it'll be your turn, including Katelin and Kristi.
Yeah, and the results were interesting. I think we have a bit of B-roll of some of the emails that were received. I think, Chris, you said your wife didn't even notice.
No, she has the TV on every day at 6 o'clock and watches at least a portion of the show every day. And finally, after the week that I did it, I'm like, hey, babe, did you notice anything different about my wardrobe this week? And she's like, no. I wore exactly the same thing every day.
And Jason, yourself?
Same thing. I have family members that watched, did not notice. They got one single comment. But then look at all these emails that you,
I think it was on day 2. I walked into the newsroom and I could hear people chatting about it.
Right.
That was the day that I repeated an outfit. And
we didn't tell many people in the newsroom.
No, we didn't. And, I think for myself, the most surprising or maybe refreshing thing was that most of the comments were actually positive or just came from a place of curiosity.
Exactly. So we get a lot of nasty comments, or we have. I've noticed they've slowed down. So maybe that's our receptionist who's like shielding me from that.
She's shielding.
Which thank you.
She takes a lot of abuse for us.
But yeah, she does. She definitely does. But most of the comments I saw in regard to this experiment were just curious. A couple of people said maybe we should get increased wardrobe allowances. No, I'm just kidding.
Not going to argue with that one.
No, of course, because it is a great expense, and that is a thing. It's a requirement of the job, and we all get that. But it's a significant portion of income that goes to wardrobe and trying to keep it fresh.
We wanted to ask the question why society is so obsessed in terms of women's appearance compared to men. We want to bring in a director of labor studies from SFU. Her name is Kendra Strauss, who joins us through a Zoom. Thank you, Kendra, for joining us. So what's your reaction to this?
And I'm sure it was a lot of fun, but in a sense, the results are not entirely surprising. I mean, I think we know all of the ways, that women are generally judged on appearance in ways that are different and more extreme than men. And that has real implications in the workplace, because I think that the point about cost is a really good one. The requirement to look in a particular way to be taken seriously at work has costs both in terms of one's kind of ability to progress in one's job, but it's a huge financial pressure as well.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and the hair and the makeup, there's a lot that goes into it.
And the time.
Yeah.
The cost of time, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like, look at my hair and Jason's hair. Like, this takes literally 2 minutes to do after I step out of the shower, and we know that's not the case for you guys. It is a huge consideration.
Yeah, and Kendra, do you think attitudes will ever change, or is this how this is?
I think it's a really interesting finding, as was just commented on, that most viewers didn't make a kind of negative judgment, about the fact that the women's wardrobes didn't change. I think many women and unions have fought for a long time to change attitudes about women's appearance in the workplace. And we can think about battles that have been fought over things like the requirement to wear high heels or the requirement to wear, form-fitting clothes. Those kinds of uniforms tend to affect women in particular in the service industry. And so I think that there has been, a long battle for a long time, for women not to be judged on the basis of what they wear or to be expected to wear clothes that reinforce the fact that their appearance is the most important thing about them. And it does seem like we're making progress, but very slow.
And Kendra, one last question for you, because one thing that people pointed out was, were there more women that commented than men? And we don't have an exact tally, but anecdotally, yes, a lot more women commented than men. Does that surprise you at all?
No, I think that the other part of this, I don't think this is something we can blame entirely kind of on one gender. I think the fact is that we're all socialized to believe that women, have a responsibility to kind of look a particular way, to be taken seriously. And women and girls tend to be socialized into being highly attuned to how we look and how other people look. And so that needs to change as well. This is in a sense a societal issue, not really just about women and men. It's really about gender norms.
Yeah.
Kendra, thank you so much for joining us and lending your expertise, because it was a lighthearted experiment with a strong message. And
it was
lots
good.
of reaction.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It was very informative and interesting for us, and a big thanks to viewers who were, because I did get a lot of people, now that the cat's out of the bag, a lot of people said, I thought something was up, but I just felt that it was maybe not appropriate to comment.
Yes.
So it's not that they didn't notice that you and I were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They were just feeling that it was rude to mention it.
Yeah.
Not so much for you guys.
Not so much for us.
To comment about you
But
guys.
and everyone
is
like
keenly observant.
And the people who did write in, again, they didn't say, for the most part, negative things.
Yeah.
So
Very
we appreciate
respectful.
that.
And I think for me, the biggest takeaway is I'll be repeating my clothes more often.
Yeah.
Why
Not having to think about it
Why
all the
not?
time.
Yeah.
It's so free. So freeing.
Exactly.
Next experiment, no deodorant for a week. How about that one?
I'm not participating in that one at all.
All right, that was fun, guys.